Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander Score Studio. Welcome to the show. So, a post on Reddit this morning got my mind going. It was asking about a rules interaction that I probably should have known before because of Eddie. Yeah, that's right. Blame Eddie in the comments below. Eddie's got a very specific deck now that this one that I built is very reminiscent of, and that is also Eddie's fault because, yeah, Eddie definitely knew this rules interaction. So, basically the question was, hey, I've got this, double-sided card. What happens when this other card comes into play and says, put it face down? And the answer to that actually might be surprising because, it doesn't get put face down. Basically, here we go. 711.6. A double face permanent always has the status face up. See rule 110.6. Double face permanents can't be turned face down. If a spell ability tries to turn a double face permanent face down, nothing happens. Which is really interesting, and well, there are certain ways that we can really take advantage of this. So, because of this very strange rules interaction, let's jump into a deck that I decided to build because you know what? Why not? Why not build a deck that really could take advantage of some weird off-the-wall ruling where you've got to actually pull this up and be like, yeah, it works this way. Well, you guys are in trouble. I'm fine because this rule is quite strange. So yeah, we can really take advantage of this. Let's jump into it, and let's start off with the commander, which is one that I have used before, and that is Esika, God of the Tree. I've got actually a couple of Esika builds in the past. I've done a lot of different things, most focusing on the backside. This one kind of can go either way, though. And actually, this is the version of Esika that I had because this is the cheapest version at $10. I think the other one's like $14. Here we go. So, Esika, God of the Tree is a 1/4 god with vigilance that costs 1 green. It says, tap, add 1 mana of any color. Other legendary creatures you control have vigilance, and tap, add 1 mana of any color. Now, many Esika decks are built around the other side. This one, again, if you need it as a Mad Dork, sure, use that front. There are other legendary creatures as well, but the backside's probably going to actually utilize more so. The Prismatic Bridge, Wooburg, legendary enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, real cards to the top of your library with a creature, planeswalker card. For that card on the battlefield, the rest of the bottom of your library, random order. Basically, get free things up the top of your library for free. Lovely! Free things for free. You know what I mean. Just getting a lot of stuff out the top of the library for free. Yeah, that's probably the side that I would cast regardless. Again, if you do cast that front side, this next card, the Golden Pig of this deck, will have absolutely no impact on it, which is perfect because it's definitely going to impact your opponent's things in a very, very negative way. So, before we jump into that Golden Pig and talk about the entire purpose of this deck, a quick reminder that decks on this channel are budget-friendly. Even though the commander for this deck is $10, nearly $11, the total cost according to Moxfield is just $37.66. Now, keep in mind that does not include the cost of basic lands, but you'll be able to get those from friends, maybe from LGS, or just buy cheaply in bulk online, or just buy them with the deck too. They're really not all that expensive. And also, this price does not include the cost of shipping, which might vary depending upon where you live, but if you want to save even more, you might be able to save even more by buying this deck on TCG Player and utilizing heavily played and damage cards, but of course, need a home too. And if you are interested in this deck, make sure you check out that deck list link in the description below. It's a very unique and weird deck that is going to surprise your friends. So with that said, let's jump into tactic number 1, which of course is the Golden Pig of this deck, the number 1 card out of 99. The Golden Pig of this deck is Ixidron. Yeah, this is an Ixidron deck, an Ixidron control shell, as one might say, because, well, again, the ruling, again, says that basically when you're trying to turn things face down, if they're a two-sided card, it doesn't happen, but it's going to happen to your opponent's cards. So it's a Star Illusion, 3 blue. As it enters the battlefield, turn all other non-token creatures face down. They're 2/2 creatures. Ixidron's power tokens are each equal to the number of face-down creatures on the battlefield. This is a very strange card. This is a card kind of just on its own, a little island on what it does. And it's like, you know what? Let's just change the entire game. Let's just make it so all creatures are the exact same. Well, except for me. I am the master of all the creatures. I'm massive, right? So basically, every single one of your creatures and your opponent's creatures normally would just go, oh, boop. Now we're basically morph creatures, although we don't have morph, so we can't flip back over. So this is kind of like a removal spell in a way, because like, hey, all creatures are now smaller. They're just 2/2s. I mean, unless they're 1/1s and they're bigger. But yeah, this can be a great way to really shut down strategies, because Now all your creatures are just nameless 2/2s. They're just faceless 2/2s. That's all they are. They have nothing else. That includes your opponent's commanders as well. So your opponent's commanders, which many decks are just built around, are like shut down. Basically kind of like a Darksteel Mutation-ish kind of card. I mean, without the indestructibility too, but basically, hey, now your commander's useless for the time being, and unless you can either get it back to your hand, sacrifice it, or get rid of it in some other way, maybe make a deal with opponent, swing, sure, whatever. But regardless, your deck might not function for a little bit. And of course, we've got ways to use and abuse this to make sure this can happen multiple times. Again, Ixidron control. And again, since we are smart and we thought ahead and we said, you know what? We're going to build the entire deck basically with double-sided cards. So again, this will not impact ours. Our creatures will be like, nope, sorry, can't flip face down because I'm a double-sided creature. So yeah, doesn't work. So yeah, Ixidron is most definitely the card of the hour. The golden pig of this stack, and what this entire deck is built around, is a fantastic and fun card, and yeah, it can be a heavy hitter itself as well. Now let's move on to tactic number 2, and I am so sorry, Wayfarer's Bauble. Here we go. Land a hand is the category, and of course, first up, there's Wayfarer's Bauble. I'm sorry to bring you up earlier. I kind of had to talk about the golden pig. I'm very sorry. Anyways, pay 2, tap, sacrifice, get a basic land to play tap. Fantastic, especially in a 5-color deck. Next up, Edge of Autumn, basically rampant growth, except with a restriction. You need 4 or less lands in play to actually, get the land. That being said, if you want to cycle it away by discarding by sacrificing a land, you can do that as well if you need to. Moving on, Rampant Growth. The card that every, ramp soul is basically named after. I mean, the term. You know what I mean. Go get a basic play tap for this 2 mana. Speaking of what, hey, Steve, I'm sorry, you're not going to stick around for very long. We're going to sacrifice you. Go get a basic land to play tapped. My bad, Secure Tribe Builder. I'm so sorry. Then we've got Cultivate. Go get 2 basics, 1 into our hand, 1 into play tapped. Grow from the Ashes, 1 into play untapped, or 2 if we kicked it. So yeah, delicious mana that we can utilize right away. Speaking of that, we got Harrow. Sacrifice 1 land, go get 2 basics into play untapped. So again, you can utilize those lands right away as well. Then there's Search for Tomorrow, suspend 2 for a Grain, so a great turn 1 play. Get a basic into play untapped. And of course, we've got a flip card as well, a double-sided card with a battle. Because yeah, we've got a theme of double-sided cards, so why not? Invasion of Zendikar, basically an explosive vegetation on the front. ETBs, go get 2 basics into play tapped. Once we can flip it by taking out, those defense counters. And that's going to be pretty easy to do so when our opponent's creatures are just tiny little 2/2s. Awakened Skyclave, a 4/4 Vigilance and Haste. If it's on the battlefield, it's in a land as well. You can tap for a mana of any color. Keep in mind that once we flip our opponent's creatures, sorry, your creatures are tiny. This, like Explosive Vegetation essentially is now twice as large as any of your opponent's creatures. So that's quite funny. Then we've got Migration Path to round things out. Basically Explosive Vegetation plus, we can cycle away for 2 if we need to. But now that we talked about ramp, let's talk about how we actually get to Ixidron, because yeah, our deck focuses on it. So on tactic number 3, phone a friend will do just that. So first up, we've got Diabolic Tutor. Go get any card from our deck. Hey, Ixidron, or if we already have Ixidron, hey, another card that works well with it, or a card for the situation that we're in, go do that. Moving on, Draw's Orders. Search your library for the 2 creature cards, reveal them, put 1 in your hand, the other in your graveyard, shuffle your library. We do have actually ways to get things out of our graveyard, so basically this can be a great way to get Ixidron in our hand and set ourselves up with something else. Then there's Brain Spoil, a tutor that basically can't be countered. I mean, it countered like with a Stifle because it's an ability. Pay 1 black, transmute it, discard it from your hand, go get anything from your library that costs 5, which Ixidron obviously does, get it directly into your hand. And 5 is the magic number for Bring to Light in a 5-color deck. Converge, basically search your library for a creature, instant or sorcery card with mana value. Gotta be 5 because we're going to spend Wooburg on this. We go get Ixidron directly out of our library into play, or whatever other instant, sorcery, or creature that costs 5 or less. Again, if we play it with Wooburg. Then we've got Final Parting, again like Draw's Orders, get Ixidron into our hand, something in our graveyard that we want in our graveyard as well. Then we've got Invasion of Arcavios. This will not get us Ixidron, but it is, again, a, flip card as well. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for an instant, or search your library, graveyard, and or outside the game. Sorry, for an instant or sorcery card, put in your hand and then shuffle. Basically, hey, go get whatever instant you need, sorcery that you need for the situation that you're in. Yeah, that could be a tutor to go get Ixidron if you really want to. And also, if we take this out, which again, it's going to be so easy once we have our opponent's creatures down to 2/2s to take out our battles, flip it over. Invocation of the Founders. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell from your hand, you may copy that spell, choose targets with a copy. Basically, double up your instant sorceries, double the delicious value. What's not to love about that? Speaking of value, hey, Primal Command, choose 2. Target player gains 5 life. Nice. Put target non-creature permanent on top of its owner's library. A great way to temporarily get rid of something. Target player shuffles their graveyard into the library. Also a great way to really hamper a, graveyard-centric deck. Or if we want to get Ixidron back potentially, and it's our graveyard without any other way, we could shuffle it back into our library. Or search live for a creature card, reveal, put your hand, then shuffle your library. So yeah, we can get it right back then too. And then finally, we've got Razcast Right. Basically a tutor like Diabolic, or hey, cycle it away for just a single black mana. So there you go. Plenty of ways to get Ixidron and other lovely things. But of course, we're not done getting more things into our hands. So in tactic number 4, we're going to be digging deep. So first up, we've got Duskwatch Recruiter. You're going to see a theme here. A lot of flip cards, a lot of double-sided cards, because again, hey, Ixidron, you can't affect them, so our creatures are going to be better than our opponent's creatures. So, pay 2 in a green, look at the top 3 cards of your library, reveal a creature from among them, put in your hand, put the rest of them on your library. Basically, with all these, I'm not just going to keep repeating the exact same way these transform. With these kind of werewolf ones, at the beginning of each upkeep, if no spells were cast last turn, you transform it, and then basically if 2 is cast, you transform it back. We're just going to leave it at that. Hopefully I don't keep saying that again and again and again just to make it easier. So, flips over to Kralin Horde Howler. Creature spells you cast, cost once to cast. This can be a great way to reduce the cost of our creature spells. Basically, in addition to our ramp package, save us a lot of mana throughout the game. Then we've got Invasion of Ixalan. Enters the battlefield with the top 5 cards of your library. Reveal a permanent card from among them. Put in your hand. The rest of them on your library. We've got an absurd amount of permanents in this deck. We're going to hit something, and we might even hit Ixidron. Once this flips, well, Belligerent, Regisar, 4-4 or 4-3 a trample whenever you cast a spell. Gains destructible end of turn. So, again, your opponent's creatures are tiny little 2/2s. Tiny little 2/2s. And you're going to be like, this 4-3 is twice as big as theirs, and also I can make it indestructible and trample through on them. Moving on, we've got Invasion of Mercadia. Enters the battlefield, you can discard 1 card to draw 2. Nice! Also, again, take it out quite easily, recast it. And then we've got a 3-3 Goblin Spell Shaper, pay 2 in a red. Tap it, discard a card, create 2 1/1 elemental creature tokens. Creatures you control get +1/0 and get haste on turn. A nice way to pump our team as well. Again, a simple 3-3 is bigger than any of our opponent's creatures. Thank you, Ixidron. Then we've got Jacob Hawken, Inspector. 0-2 Human Advisor. Tap, draw a card, exile a card from your hand. And then you can pay 4 in a blue, essentially. And you flip it over to something massive. Hawken's Insight. Basically, cast things for free. Cast 1 thing for free that's an exile. There you go. Then we've got Plarg, Dean of Chaos. The front side of the card is tap, discard a card, draw a card. So basically rummage. We can also have it reveal cards off the top of the library to hit something non-legendary that is small and cast it for free. That's nice. Or on the other side, we've got Augusta, Dean of Order. 1-3, other tap creatures you control at +1/0. Other untapped creature you control at +0/+1. So a good Anthem effect either way. If we're on defense or offense, usually that's how it's going to work. On top of that, whenever you attack, untap each creature you control, then tap any other creatures you control. A great way to basically give pseudo-vigilance as well, potentially. Then we've got Suspicious Stowaway. 1-1 can't be blocked. So it doesn't matter that our opponent's creatures are tiny or whatever. They just can't block anyways, even if they're twice as big as this. Whenever it goes counter to player, draw, then discard. And it flips over with the Daybound, Nightbound mechanic. It's on the backside, it can't be blocked. And when it deals counter to player, we just simply draw a card. So even better. Then we've got Cosima, God of the Voyage. 2-4 that does a lot of things. Basically, beginning of your upkeep, you can exile it. If you do, it gains whenever a land is battlefield under control. It's exile, put a voyage counter on it. If you don't, return to the battlefield, X counters on it, and draw X cards with X number of voyage counters on it. This can become pretty massive and gain us a lot of card advantage. But then it flips over to the Omen Keel if we actually want to play it as that instead. A 3-3 whenever a vehicle you control those counters to a player. That player exiles that many cards. We don't have really that many vehicles. Let's probably focus on the front. But hey, if you want a vehicle, sure, why not? Then we've got Dean of Substance, there we go. We probably don't want to play the front side. We can actually, if we can get a lot of study counters on that. That being said, it might be a little risky because we don't want to get rid of Ixidron, but if we already have Ixidron, that's fine. The backside, though, is part we're going to play with more often. 3-3 flyer. So again, our opponents cannot block it because their 2/2s do not have flying. Pay X, blue, tap, exile the top X card to your library, put a study counter on each of them. You may put a card, you don't exile the study counter on it in your hand. So there you go. Basically a way to just get a lot of cards into exile with study counters on them. Kind of create this separate hand, separate pool that we can dig from and get more cards. Then we've got Alvida, Dean of Perfection. The front side lets us cast sorcery is kind of delayed, cheaper, which is quite nice. Or on the back side, Nasari, Dean of Expression, 4/4, so again, twice as big as our opponent's creatures, which is lovely. Beginning of your upkeep, exile top card of each opponent's library. Until the end of your next turn, you cast spells from on them, and basically spend mana of many of any color. Yeah, hey, get free things off the top of your opponent's libraries. What's not to love about that? A lot of additional, temporary card advantage, essentially. On top of that, whenever you cast a spell from exile, you get a counter on this, so it become even more massive to your opponent's tiny little creatures. Moving on, we've got Invasion of Kaldheim. Whenever it enters the battlefield, exile the cards from your hand, then draw that many cards until the end of your next turn and play cards exiled this way. Basically, kind of double your hand size temporarily, so that's nice. Take this out, flip it over, Power of the World Tree, discard lands, deal 2 damage to any target. Again, what's kind of funny with that is your opponent's little creatures. Now, any other 2/2s threaten you with anything, you're like, nope, gone. Nope, gone. And also on top of that, whenever you discard a land card, you exile top card of your library, play that card this turn. So basically, hey, yeah, extra additional, impulse draw with that as well. Then we've got Invasion of Rin. Enters the battlefield, draw 3, discard 1. Nice. Take it out, flip it over. Overloaded Mage Ring, a great way to, well, copy something. Pay 1, tap, sacrifice a copy target spell you control. And yeah, you can copy permanent spells in too, so keep that in mind. Then we've got Prowl, Stoic Strategist. Basically, when it attacks, exile up to one other target, tab creature or vehicle. For as long as the card remains exiled, its owner may play it. So, if we want to take Ixidron and say, you know what? Our opponents are getting other creatures out. We want to make sure that we can actually do this again. Exile Ixidron, recast it, get that ETB again. Our opponents are going to be in big trouble with that. Also, whenever a player plays card Exile with Prowl, you draw a card and convert it. That's nice. It converts over into a 2/3. That says whenever another creature or vehicle enters battlefield under control, you get a counter on this. If the second time its ability is resolved, convert it. If we don't resolve that, I mean, if we just keep doing one at a time, essentially, this can become pretty massive, and our opponents are going to be pretty scared. And also, I guess, when you keep flipping, it's fine. Next up, Jadzi Oracle Arcavios. Hey, first up, a 5/5 again. Very massive to our opponent's creatures. Discard a card, bounce it back to our hand. Cool, good protection there. Magecraft, whenever you cast a copy and sorcery card, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a non-land, you can cast it by paying just 1. So that's nice. If they land, put it right into play. And then there you go. You can flip it over, and the backside actually is, if you'd rather cast this, a great ramp spell. Journey to the Oracle. Put any number of land cards from your hand on the battlefield. If you control 8 or more lands, you can discard a card. If you do, return this to its owner's hand. Nice. Just a great way to dump a ton of lands in your hand. And again, literally, just because it's a double-sided card, Ixidron does not affect it. So, of course, we've got more, though. Let's move on to tag number 5 with Bring It Back. Because, yeah, there are times where we need to bring specific cards back, including Ixidron, out of our graveyard. So first up, we've got Ayara, Widow of the Realm. This is quite fun. 3/3 Elf Noble. Tap, sacrifice another creature artifact. Ayara is going to deal X damage to target opponent. Rex's or battle, and you gain X life for X's sacrifice burns mana value, and you can pay to transform it. So a nice way to have a sacrifice outlet. Actually, sometimes it might be better to get, Ixidron into our graveyard so we can get it back out with something else, maybe even this, though the backside this is a little riskier. At the beginning of combat, your turn, return to 1 target artifact or creature card from your graveyard with the battlefield against haste, exile begin next end step. So keep in mind, we probably don't want to lose Ixidron permanently, but if we've got another way to maybe bounce it back to our hand, if we've got a way to maybe sacrifice it with that in play, great. But yeah, we don't lose it permanently, but also just another good way to get things out of our graveyard. Speaking of that, Runo Stromkirk, yet another dual-sided card that can help us get Ixidron back. 1/4 flying enters the battlefield, put up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. Nice. Also, if we meet a requirement, if we've got a creature on top of our library at the beginning of our upkeep that's 6 or greater with mana value, we get to transform this and turns into, oh my goodness, Krothis, Lord of the Deep, a 3/5 with flying, which again, our opponents really can't block because they're just kind of little 2/2s on the ground. Whenever attack should get create a tap an attacking token that's copied on target attack creature. We got there. And if it's a sea monster, we don't really have sea monsters in this deck, we create another token. Regardless, getting extra token, quite nice. Keep in mind with Ixidron, a great way to be like, oh, an extra copy. Get that ETB again. We've got Conqueror's Galleon, a vehicle. Hey, I guess I lied earlier. We do have another vehicle, a 2/10 vehicle, so our opponents will not be able to take this out, essentially, with their army, most likely. I mean, they need 5 2/2s to actually block this and take it out. Whenever it attacks, exile in the combat that returns to the battlefield transformed. Flips over into Conqueror's Foothold, a great land. Can tap Regulus, or we can pay 2 to tap it and loot. We can pay 4 to tap it to draw a card. We pay 6 to tap it and bring back a creature, bring back a card from our graveyard to our hand, so any card out of our graveyard. That's huge. Then we've got Exus, Overlord again. All these lovely, lovely, lovely double-sided cards that Ixidron says, yeah, you're fine. Exus is a 2/4 double strike, so again, opponent's creatures, never going to be able to take it out. Magecraft for every caster, copy and source spell, return target non-legendary creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Even though Ixidron seems like it's got such a legendary effect to us, it is not legendary. Get it back. Flip this over onto Awaken the Blood avatar. We can guess for this too if we're feeling mean. Basically, we can sacrifice creatures to make it cost less. And then when you cast each opponent sacrifice a creature, you get a 3/6 black and red avatar creature token with haste. Whenever this creature attacks, deals 3 damage to each opponent. Again, this can be very hard for opponents to take out. So yeah, have fun with that. Next up, Mythos of Brokos, an incredibly flexible, great card. Basically, if we spend blue and black to cast it, great. We get all the effects for this. We get to search our life for a card, get into our graveyard, then shuffle. That's probably going to be Ixidron if we need it. Return to 2 permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. So again, recursion. Basically a tutor with recursion on it as well. And immediate recursion happens with this fantastic battle Invasion of Tolvana. When it enters the battlefield, return target non-battle permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So that could be Ixidron if we needed to. Flip it over. The Broken Sky. Creature tokens you control get +1/+0 and have lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, create a 1/1 black and white spirit control token with flying. You can keep in mind, Ixidron does not flip tokens either. So have fun with your flyers. That was a really, really exciting tactic. But of course, we've got even more tactics. Let's move to tactic number 6, which I'm calling Stay a While. We're going to be protecting our things as well. So let's start things off with Invasion of Pyrulia. When it enters the battlefield, scry 3 to reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land or double-face card, draw a card. Hey, we're running an absurd amount of double-face cards in this deck. And of course, lands as well. That's going to happen. We're going to be drawing a card with this the vast majority of the time. Flip it over. Slabhorn. Here we go. 4/4 Trample Ward 2. Again, massive compared to opponent's tiny creatures. Other transform permanents you control have Trample Ward 2. That's fantastic. Next up, Malevolent Hermit. A 2/1. That's not bigger than opponent's creatures. That's okay. Pay a blue, sacrifice it, counter target non-creature spell. It's control phase 3, so a great protection effect. Disturb 4/2 in blue, so get it back out of your graveyard. And then we get this side, Benevolent Geist. 2/2 flying, non-creature spells you control can't be countered. Haha, opponents can't counter those, can you? And if this goes anywhere, it gets exiled. But still, again, a 2/2 flyer, opponents really can't block that the vast majority of the time with their little 2/2s on the ground. We've got Selfless Glyph Weaver, a great way to protect our things. And again, a 2/3, bigger than your things. Exile it, creature control get indestructible out of turn, a great panic button for us. The backside of this as well is Deadly Vanity. Choose a creature, planeswalker, destroy all the creatures and planeswalkers. If we need this panic button, we can have it. And then we've got, speaking of panic buttons, Semester's End. The final card of this tactic, instant exile any number of target creatures and planeswalkers you control. Being an next end step, basically bring them back. They get a +1 counter on them. Cool, a great way to avoid a board wipe, a great way to protect our things, a great way to get Ixidron's ETB again. And again, keep in mind, it's going to bring them back on the front side. All of our cards on the front side as well, if any of them have been transformed. So keep that in mind. But now let's move on to tactic number 7, because, well, we talked about our plan, but now let's talk about ways to throw a wrench to our opponent's plans with break things. And first up, we've got Alchemist Retrieval. A great flexible card. Basically, 1 mana, bounce one of our own things back to our hand. 2 mana, bounce anything back to our opponent's hands. Non-land, I should say. So basically, hey, 1 mana, save Ixidron, bring it back to our hand, recast, get that ETB again. Yeah, sign me up for that. Or 2 mana, get rid of something of your opponent's. Then we've got Herbology Instructor. 1/3, enters the battlefield, gain 3 life. Pay 6 a Phyrexian Black, transform it. Turns into a 3/3 Phyrexian Tree Folk. When it transforms, target creature opponent controls gets -0/-X until after it exits its power. Even if it's only a 3/3, that's going to be able to take out, any creature on the board, essentially, again, because our opponent's creatures, again, are going to be 2/2s. Keep in mind, you probably don't want to take out your opponent's commanders because you really don't want them to get access to them again. So take out their more important pieces that aren't their commander. Next up, we've got Invasion New Capenna. When it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice an artifact or creature. When you do, exile target artifact or creature opponent controls. Again, there are going to be times we actually sacrifice, Ixidron. That's actually a good thing for us to get it back then. Keep that in mind. Also, we take this out. It becomes Holy Frazzle Cannon. Hilarious name. Whenever creature attacks, we both come to counter each on that creature and each other creature you control shares a creature type with it. We got there. Goodness gracious, that was a mouthful. I don't know why. But yeah, just a nice additional effect. Then we've got Outland Liberator. Basically, we can sacrifice, destroy an artifact or enchantment. And when it flips over, hey, it also can do that. It's a 3/3. And also, whenever it attacks, we also destroy an artifact or enchantment depending on player controls, which is quite nice. Moving on, Simic Charm, incredibly flexible. First up, choose 1 target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. That is basically save any attacking creature that you have. Because if you're like, hey, swing. Okay, you blocked. You thought you took my creature out, with all your tiny little 2/2s. I'll give it +3/+3. You probably didn't math correctly. Goodbye. Or permanents you control get hex return turn, a nice protection effect. Or return target creature to its owner's hand. So again, great removal spell, temporary removal spell, or again, a way to get Ixidron back to our hand. Speaking of which, Release the Wind. This one's kind of weird. Exile target non-land permanent for as long as that card remains exiled. Its owner may cancel paying its mana cost. So basically, a good temporary removal spell for opponent's things. Or again, hey, get rid of Ixidron. Protect it. Bring it right back. There you go. Then there's Aether Gale, a great bounce spell. 5 mana, bounce 6 non-land permanents back to owner's hands. They can be our own as well again. So keep in mind, Ixidron, you're coming back home to go back into play. And then we've got Invasion of Ulgartha. Ulgartha. There we go. We got there. Not the best pronouncing things. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 3 damage to any other target. You gain 3 life. Keep in mind, that counts our opponent's faces, that counts battles, and then it also counts their tiny little creatures that we can take out. Let's flip this, though, and then we've got Grandmother Ravi Sangir. 3/3 flyer. So again, opponents really can't block it. On top of that, whenever a creature opponent controls dies, you get a counter on this and you gain 1 life. This can become quite massive and gain you a good amount of life. Then we've got Volatile Arsonist. 4/4 Menace Haste. Again, really hard for opponents to take out. When it attacks, it deals 1 damage each up to 1 target creature, up to 1 target player into a Planeswalker. It flips over, and then it's a 5/5 with Menace and Haste. Even harder to take out. And speaking of taking things out, when it attacks, it's going to deal 2 damage instead. So yeah, take out an opponent's creature with it. Or we can just take out a lot of things. Invasion of Fiora. ETBs, choose 1 or both. Destroy legendaries, destroy non-legendaries, whichever one you need. A good panic button for us. This slips over, and look, Marchese is back. 3/6 Menace Death Touch. Good luck to your opponents taking this out. Whenever it attacks, remove all counters up to 1 target permanent. So again, great with our battles as well. Beginning of your upkeep, if you haven't dealt combat damage since your last turn, draw a card, lose 1 life. It's gonna be difficult for your opponents to get through on you because again, they've got tiny 2/2s. So there you go. Moving on, Detect and Break, though. Let's talk about some cards that are not tiny. We're going to go on to the heavy hitters. So we're going to start things off with one that's not really a heavy hitter to start off with, Ludovic's Test Subject, which is so cute, so fun. A 0/3 Lizard. I think it's been errated to be an egg as well, probably. Defender. So, again, this can just basically block any of your opponent's creatures, which is nice. You can also pay to get hatch encounters on it. Whenever it's got 5 on it, it flips into a 13/13 with Trample. How adorable! Your opponents aren't going to be able to stop it. Speaking of that, Augmenter Pugilist. A simple 3/3 to Trample for 3 mana, but if we control 8 or more lands, which is not hard at all, we got plenty of ramp again, +5/+5. So an 8/8 Trampler for 3 mana, yeah. Or on the backside, you know what's really fun? Echoing Equation. Choose our creature control. Each other creature you control comes a copy until end of turn, except those creatures aren't legendary if the chosen creature is legendary. Basically make all your creatures into your best creature. That'd be hilarious if that was Ludovic's Abomination. Actually, I don't know if it works with the back. Regardless, it's fun, okay? Or the front side's great too. Then we've got Polukranos Reborn, a 4/5 with reach for this 3 mana, bigger than your opponent's creatures. Pay 6 and a Phyrexian White to transform it, and it flips over into the Engine of Ruin. 6/6 reach lifelink. Whenever it or another non-token Hydra control dies, you get a 3/3 with reach and a 3/3 with lifelink. Kind of like a worse Worm Coil, but still quite nice. Then we've got Overwhelming Oddity, a 4/4 trample and haste for 4 mana. Pay to transform it. When you do, the biggest creature on the board that your opponents can't deal with. 8/8 trample haste. Other creature control get +1/+1 have trample haste. Nice. Good luck to them. I mean, they're gonna need it. Sage the Ancient Lore is our next card, though. Star, power number each number of cards in your hand. Nice. ETBs, draw a card. Nice. Also, at the beginning of each upkeep, no spells are cast last turn. We flip it. I did it. I accidentally just said that requirement again. My bad. Star, Vigilance, Trample. This time, power toughness each equal to the number of total cards in all players' hands. Your tiny little tutus can do nothing to stop me, and they cannot stop Tovolar's Huntmaster either. A 6/6 human werewolf, 4/6 ETBs. You make 2/2 wolves, which again are going to be just as big as your opponent's creatures. When this flips, your opponents are in big trouble, though. 7/7 ETBs or attacks. You get 2/2 green wolf creature tokens, and you can also have your wolves fight creatures they don't control. You don't control. And yeah, so just basically take out any of your opponent's creatures and also just keep getting more 2/2s that are as big as their creatures. What's not to love about this? Speaking of loving cards, though, let's move on to our final tactic out of our non-creature spells, non-land card. There we go. Value Town. And first up, we've got Breakneck Rider, a 3/3. So again, already just bigger than your opponent's creatures. But you have each upkeep, no spells are cast. I just did it again. Flip it. We did it. 4/3 attack creature control, get +1/+0 and have trample. Again, a great way to say, yeah, your tiny little creatures, we're getting through on you. We're getting damage through on you. You can't just jump block. Then we've got Cyclonus the Saboteur, 2/5 flyer. So again, can get through on your opponents. When it deals counter to a player, it connives. Nice. If its power is 5 or greater, convert it. Flips over into a 5/5 flyer. Whenever it deals counter to a player, convert it. If you do, there's additional combat phase after this phase. Extra combat. Yeah, that can be quite brutal for your opponents, again, who have tiny little creatures. Did I mention they have tiny little creatures? Moving on, we've got Golden Guardian, a 4/4 defender. So again, can block any of your opponent's creatures very effectively. Pay 2, fights other creature you control. If it dies at the end of the turn, or dies this turn, there we go. Return it flipped. And then we have the Goldforge Garrison, tap for 2 mana. So again, a great ramp spell essentially as it is, or pay 4, tap, make a 4/4. So again, Ixidron does not flip over tokens either, so we're making tokens. They're going to be bigger than any of your opponent's creatures. Have fun. Then there's got Infestation Expert, making tinier tokens, that's okay. 3/4 ETBs or attacks get a 1/1 green insect creature token. Flips over, basically exact same thing, but a 4/5, and we get 2 of those creature tokens instead. Yeah, fill the board with those tokens. You can use them to chump block your opponent's creatures now, which again are quite tiny, or just like double block their 2/2s. Goodbye. So yeah, now that we talked about every single non-land card in this deck, let's talk about a couple of great lands with attack number 10. Great lands. And first up, we've got Tangled Florahedron, which is yet another MDFC, another double-sided card. a 1/1 that can tap for a green, a simple mana dork, or on the backside, we can use it as a land. Then we got Kazandu Man with a 3/3 with landfall. Whenever a land enters battlefield to control, gets +2/+2 until end of turn, so this can hit quite hard once we're set up properly. Again, think of, Evolving Wilds, Terminal Expanse, those kinds of cards as well. Hey, or ramp spells. Just make this massive, get through an opponent, have fun with that, or play it as land if you need that. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this deck. It's quite the crazy one again. As Eddie calls his, I will call this one, yeah, Upside Down Tribal, but this one's kind of like with an Ixidron control focus, I would say, although I believe Eddie also has Ixidron in the deck. That being said, yeah, I think this is quite the fun build. I hope that you enjoyed it as well. If you want to pick this one up and confuse your friends, make sure you check out that deck list link in the description below. Comment below your thoughts on it, and of course, as always, thanks again, and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.